Hey guys, that video's, oh shit, I'm on there now. That video was awesome. Also, that steak was awesome. It was a nice break from greasy Dr. Hall cheeseburgers for once. And lastly, I need to apologize for the sad excuse for facial hair I have going on. I'm participating in the Movember Foundation. This going on. Razors are forbidden from this space for another 14 days or so. But to introduce myself, because I didn't get an introduction tonight, my name is Zach. I'm a junior at Lafayette College over in Easton, so Penn State is not the only school. I'm studying neuroscience on the pre-med track. I actually just picked up a chem minor about a week ago too, so that's fun. And hopes of pursuing pediatrics, and like a bunch of us in this room, I am a grateful recipient of one of the Quell Foundation Scholarship Awards. Although I wish I didn't receive this award. Now, hold on, what? That's crazy, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled I received this honor. This scholarship, this whole foundation has supported me not only through the financial portion, let's just say I didn't pick a cheap school, sorry mom, but also through all the other amazing aspects. The mission of raising mental health awareness, the stance against the stigma, and seriously the immense support I received just by being here in this room tonight. But again, I wish I didn't receive this award. All right, so let me clarify so Kevin doesn't smack me around after this, because that was kind of just for a dramatic buildup, but really rather is I wish I didn't have to think about applying for the scholarship, because sending in this application to Quell means something about you. It means that you have a personal relationship with mental health and or suicide. And it means to some extent, no matter how big or small, that some portion of yourself is just a little broken. And that's okay, it's just difficult. It's a hardship many of us here in every single corner of the world have felt in some form or another, but it doesn't define us. It might be something about us, but I'll say it again, it does not define us. What defines us is whatever we choose to let define us. It's a definition you have a lot of control over. However, each of our experiences with mental health is a portion of what goes into that definition, who you are and how you live. It's not our whole story, but it's a story we each have to tell. So here's my story. March 28th, 2016, a day that has been ingrained in my mind for about 3.5 years now. A day that makes my heart ache. The day we lost my younger sister, my best friend, to suicide. She suffered from depression and severe OCD, and the pain of these diseases overcame her. I called 911 with screams all around me, not sure which were my own, which were my parents. The paramedic had me feel for a pulse that wasn't there. And we sat in my bedroom crying and waiting before we followed the ambulance to the hospital. I was then forced to stay in the waiting room by a nurse while my parents talked to the doctor, only discovering the official news by hearing the eruption of screams through the doors in the other room. It sucked. I went to school 2 days later just to distract myself from the pain and emptiness and loneliness that just kind of flew throughout our entire house. The days, weeks, months that followed are really now just a blur of sadness and a lot of crying. And I hated it. I hated it. I couldn't talk about my sister. I couldn't say her name, Ciara. And I never wanted to cry in public, often just brushing off that I was fine, doing okay. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to make myself feel more hurt, nor did I want to make other people sad. I mean, I'm a smiler. I consider making other people smile one of my biggest pursuits every single day. So I was caught in this weird battle between wanting to remember her and just wanting to avoid the pain of it all. But what I'm sort of starting to get at is this, is often when I first began to bring up Ciara to other people, all they ended up hearing is that she had OCD and depression. And when I put across an image of myself to strangers and those around me, I was just this optimistic, enthusiastic, magic performing, terrible joke making guy, and just kind of gave away the inner portion of me. And what I had to realize is that's not what defines Ciara. She was a purposeful, hilariously goofy, art-loving, video gaming, best friend, and so much more. And on the other hand, that isn't just who I am. I'm also someone who lost a loved one to suicide. And Ciara lives on in our stories and our hearts, but our hearts will always be that much tougher, and our stories will always be that much tougher, and our hearts will always be healing. Now, when I first applied for this scholarship, I applied for the Survivor Scholarship because I lost my sister to suicide. But when I heard back, I was awarded the Survivor and the Fighter Scholarship. The Fighter Scholarship being for those with mental health conditions. And I was really confused at first until I kind of slept on it and eventually realized at the time I applied, I was fighting. And I still am a bit, though I'm happy to say to a much lesser extent. But I was suffering. I went through my days with anxiety, lots of post-traumatic stress, and really had a lot to get through during that time. I went through a couple different therapists and counselors, mostly being urged by my mom because I was in denial. I couldn't acknowledge it. But it was tough. It was weird to acknowledge, but it was important to acknowledge, and it was a big step in my journey through this crazy thing we call life. And now somehow my journey took me to this stage up here with you guys. And Kevin said I was going to be the last talker of the night, so it's fun. Crazy. I never would have been I never expected myself to be capable of standing up on a stage like this and talking about these things in such a public setting. But hey, if I made it this far into my speech, I guess I'm doing all right. I have a joke here. I didn't need that applause. I have a note that says good job, Zach. So, but actually, when I was asked to speak here, I kind of needed a little bit of time before I gave them my thumbs up because this really freaked me out. I performed on stage a number of times in the past doing magic, talent shows, this, that. I was in a male beauty pageant at one point. Yeah. But stage fright never really got to me. But then this tonight, this is something way beyond performing. When I perform, I put on a character, hide behind a deck of cards, focus on the doves. But tonight, I am 100% bona fide Zach. Well, more accurately, I feel like I'm shedding every single last layer off of me, but that's kind of exciting, I guess. But it was a tough decision to do this. I didn't know if I was ready to really take on this endeavor because it does still hurt a bit to talk about. But here we are, as I somehow just explained to a group of strangers the most difficult portion of my entire life, and it's not bad. In fact, writing this speech has been some of the best introspection and reflection that I've done in quite a long time, and really helped me think about kind of a lot of different things I haven't thought about before. And as someone who walks around, spends most of my life with a smile on my face, it used to be really hard for me to admit that I was a little shit. But I am, and you are. And you are, and he is, and she is, and the guy in the hallway is, and the guy you go golfing with, and your coworker in the office, and I mean, you get the point, but we're all just a little upside down and backwards sometimes. The best freaking thing about that is that it's okay. It's what makes us us. As I'm sure many of you have heard before, and if you haven't, get ready for a bomb to be dropped. It's okay not to be okay. I said before that I'm a smiler, but it's not always easy to smile, and that's okay. In those moments, I'm not a smiler. I'm a frowner, or a crier, or whatever the heck, and who the heck cares? No one. And it took this happy-go-lucky optimist to learn that as truth through the years, but it's so much better to acknowledge your pain, own it with your whole heart, and take that strength you have because of it everywhere you go. So like I said earlier, I wish I didn't have to be here, but I am, and we are. And some of us are hurting. In fact, we're all hurting in some form or another. But that's okay. Because what we're doing here, what the Quell Foundation is doing, is making an impact and changing the face of mental health one step at a time. If Ciara knew about the mission of Quell, I can't speak for her, but I do know that she'd be very appreciative of the work that is being done here because she was so beyond relief when she found out that these illnesses were the cause of her pain, showing that she understood as well as anyone that there's absolutely no need for the stigma that surrounds these diseases. So I stand here tonight in honor of my sister. and we all have our own roles in the awareness of mental health and the fight against the stigma, but we can only do it together. So let's make a difference. Let's find your smile, and then let's go help find the smile of those who need them the most. That's all for me, guys. Thanks.
So, thank you, Zach. Thank you for sharing. I know Zach's mom is a proud mom right there. And thank you for providing a glimpse as to the hope, as I referred to earlier tonight, that all of you provide people like Zach and Ciara's family and Gina's and everyone else and all of the students, right? So the stories are hard, the words are hard to hear, but there is hope. The hope lies in Zach and Gina and all of the other students. The hope is the knowledge and understanding that just 4 years ago, we only had 14 scholarships that were awarded just in the New England area. Now we have over 450 students for which the Quell Foundation is touching. Over 400 universities, including Penn State. And over 40 states. It's not just a New England foundation. It's a national foundation. It speaks for hundreds and millions of people. So this is where you guys come in.